Some of the questions were, what will Hatfield courses look like this summer moving forward? What programs have been the most popular in the past? What would you recommend to a student who is looking to get involved in research at Hatfield? What kind of opportunities are there for people who have studies that are ocean related, but not marine biology focused, for example, engineering, liberal arts, etc. So these are all really great questions, and I want to invite everyone to actually, if as I'm talking, or if you have questions now, to go ahead and put them in the chat, because we'll address them. How much time? I have 20 minutes, is that correct?
20 to 30, yeah. We're going till 5.
Okay, great. So I've got a couple of things set up, so I thought maybe I'd show that. So here, you'll see I've got a beaker here of seawater, and in that seawater, I've got a bunch of mussels. And see, I've got some barnacles. I've got 2 hermit crabs that are way too big for their shells and are desperately looking for a bigger home. Earlier last week, I went out and collected for a weekend course that I typically teach here at the Marine Science Center. I've made it virtually remote so that we have 3 wet lab Saturdays streaming in the afternoon, and the students are to look at these organisms under a couple of different Zoom cameras and sketch them. And so I've got an example of that, but so let me just pull that. Can I share? I'm sure I can share my screen, right? Let's see here. Oh, I don't know if I have the image on this computer, so I'll have to show it another. I'll send it to you. But regardless, students, we had 35 students this Saturday, virtually on Zoom at the same time with me. I had 4 or 5 cameras set up, and as well as a camera set up on the wet lab for essentially the students to look at these animals and try to sketch and understand them. Next week, or this Saturday, I'll be adding an ID, or should I say a key, for IDing these animals. And so we're gonna try to ID them visually, virtually, remotely, synchronously. And we'll see how that goes. So I'm gonna keep that on just so that you can keep an eye on that. And I also have my cell phone set up. So if I may switch here, there we go. All right, great, thank you. And I'm gonna turn this mic on. Turn my speaker down. Turn my speaker down on this. Figure out how to do it. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. So I'm going to use this mic on the computer and then use this cell phone. So I want to give you a sense of how different things are. You're all on Zoom in your own respective places. We're in a new era, and I'm going to refrain from looking at that so I can look at you guys here. And what I want to explain to you is that we're in a new era where you are able to access an incredible range of people and an incredible range of places virtually. It's not the same thing as being able to meet and talk to a person in real life, in person, but it gives you the ability to make those connections. So this is a crucial time for all of you to think about your soft skills in engaging with researchers, artists, experts in the field through Zoom. And the creativity that this club can bring to that is immense. I mean, the diversity of people that are on this call right now are incredible, with majors from all over, right? And I think that's what makes marine studies unique. It really is interdisciplinary. And so I'm trying to demonstrate and model at the same time a sense of what's accessible. And so here you'll see a seawater table. You can see the entire lab here. Typically as students, see here, can you help me out, Tom? Can everyone see my my screen, my hand?
Yeah.
Yep, we can see it.
All right, so here I'm showing you a seawater table, okay? And typically students out here are managing a water table for a course. They're tracking animals and making sure every day that they're okay and they're fed. And you can see the space incorporates a lot of tools, equipment, a lot of skeletons, a lot of microscopes, glassware, and this is just one lab. The rest of the center, which is made up of a whole series of buildings and organizations that are here. We've got state and federal agencies co-located here who are all doing research. We've got the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. We've got US Department of Wildlife. We've got the Environmental Protection Agency. We've got 3 divisions of NOAA, the National Oceanic Administration, Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. And if you're not familiar with NOAA, NOAA is the sister program to NASA, but in charge of exploration and understanding our oceans. Right across the street, we have the headquarters for the NOAA research vessels for the Pacific Fleet. There's another one on the Atlantic coast. Okay, that's right here in Newport, which is amazing. And with this Marine Studies initiative, we're really broadening the focus beyond just marine sciences, beyond the ocean sciences, but also including all the social sciences, the humanities, history, geography, business, economics, all of these different areas. We're farming, we're looking at how to farm. And so, I gave you a little tidbit of what's here, what's happening. I'd like to try something out. If I may, can I put you guys in breakout groups? Because one of the things I want you to talk about is seafood science. Is that a concept that you have even thought about? We have at OSU a seafood lab up in Astoria that focuses on seafood science, not only security, but also the production and creation of new seafood. For instance, how many of you, if you could give me a thumbs up, like sushi? All right. How many of you like California rolls? Okay. And so, you know the crab in California rolls, the crab with the K, the imitation crab meat, that's actually whiting. It's a fish protein. And at the seafood lab up in Astoria, we've got a researcher that's taken that to another level and created pizza crusts. Yes, I said pizza crusts, as well as noodles. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Marine Science Center, which is really why you're all here, right? And so I'm going to go over this, and I'm going to pull up the my PowerPoint. Let's see here. Oh, let's see here, and just go over these slides real quick. I'm going to fly through these, and I'm going to go really, really fast. And then I'll answer questions, and I'm happy to stay after 5 if you'd like, okay? So, let's see here, Microsoft PowerPoint, boom, here we go. Here we go. All right, so everyone can hear and see me okay? Thumbs up, great. Okay, here we go. Marine Science and OSU, Hatfield, Marine Science Center, all right? Right here, you're looking at a bird's eye view of the Marine Science Center. The bottom here, this bottom kind of like almost island right here, the only thing keeping it from being an island is this little strip of land, is here we got the Marine Science Center, we've got the Oregon Coast Aquarium right here, and we have right out here a new dock and a new facility, and that's the NOAA Marine Operations Center for the Pacific. So that's the headquarters for the Pacific Fleet. We got the Newport Bridge, this is South Beach, and this is main part of Newport, and here's the historic bayfront right here, all right? Okay, boom. This is what students do out here, all right? I tell students our courses are broken into thirds. A third of the time you're gonna be spending it in a classroom lecture. A third of it you're gonna spend it in here in a wet lab or studio, because now we have an artist studio in the new Marine Studies building. And an innovation lab, like a maker lab, and then 3 out in the field. And here, clearly, you can see the range of what students are doing out here, from participating in a necropsy, a dissection of a marine mammal in our summer marine mammal course, to students who are in our BI 450 spring marine biology class, collecting animals off of the docks here, okay? To interns working in the wash zone, to launching AUVs, to bird watching. You guys have talked a little bit about bird watching. We have a marine and estuarine birds course. Our estuary trail is phenomenal with the Audubon Society. They love coming here and looking at birds seasonally. Here in the bottom left, we've got an aquaculture lab that's growing plankton to feed oysters, which they're growing also here. Here, we've got a student looking at dulse. It's a red algae. So you may have heard of bacon seaweed. If not, it was a big fad about 3-4 years ago. We're the institution that has promoted that myth that this red seaweed tastes like bacon. It does a little bit if you kind of fry it in some oil. It's kind of nutty, kind of bacony. But anyhow, you can get it at your local co-op, dried, and put it on anything, really. We have aquarium science program here. We've got a lot of dead animals in our lockers, okay? Here's a shark that washed ashore, and we use it for teaching purposes. So a lot of different things that students get to be involved in out here. Okay, this is just a little bit about me. I can go over that a little bit. I'm basically a community college transfer student, first in my family to go to college, let alone graduate from high school. I did work on Dungeness crabs and harmful algal blooms and marine toxins at UC Santa Cruz in the crab lab. Also worked in a marine natural products chemistry lab, basically looking at marine sponges and deriving medicinal properties from them, to now what I do is I teach and develop programs, and I run a lot of internship programs, which is here. This is me doing teaching, running internship programs, all that. Okay, now let's get to Newport. So how many of you guys have been here to Newport? Okay, quite a few of you. So you know it's 60 minutes from main campus. We're about 1 hour away on Uinta Bay on the Central Oregon coast. Things that bring people out here are lighthouses. We've got 2 within town, one at the bay, mouth of the bay, and one at the north end of town. A lot of folks come to whale watch, and I'll tell you, in the 15 years that I've been here teaching, and I've taught a number of different courses, the best whale watching I've ever seen has been from Uinta Head Lighthouse, outstanding natural area, watching these whales breach right offshore there. It's been incredible. So that's a great place to whale watch, and it's open, so you can go there now. A lot of folks come out for the recreational salmon fishery, as well as the commercial fishery out here. And of course, the Oregon Coast Aquarium, which is our neighbor and also a collaborator and partner. So HMSC started in 1964 on basically a big sand spit. We've developed and increased the number of partners that are here at this campus with OSU. So again, NOAA, EPA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, ODF&W, as well as U.S. Department of Agriculture that focuses on aquaculture. We wear many hats at Hatfield. One, we're a university research lab. We're an educational institution. We're a research vessel base. We're a government research lab, all these different partners. And we're a center for public education with our visitor center that Oregon Sea Grant runs and manages. Lots of hats. And so some of the research and research partners we have here focus on a wide range of topics, from oceanography, fisheries and aquaculture, you name it, all the way down there. And growing with the Marine Studies Initiative, we're exploring everything from art, photography, poetry, literature, history, sociology, policy, all the multimedia, all these different things. Again, this is Marine Science Day, which I should note, I think is April 10th this year, will be virtual. Last year we canceled it because of the pandemic. This year we're going all virtual on a Saturday. But this picture was taken on one of our Marine Science Days, which is our open house here at the Marine Science Center, and all the OSU and agency partners participate in that. We have a very strong aquaculture program, growing oysters as well as dulse, that red seaweed I was talking about, the bacon seaweed. And so and we're still looking at more different areas of growth. Down south at OIMB and Port Orford Field Station, they're looking at a new fishery. We've got the sea urchin fishery as well as the gooseneck barnacle fishery, which is a fairly new fishery. And so here's some of that red algae, dulse, bacon seaweed. We also have the Marine Mammal Institute here, and this organization is the top floor of our new Valley Marine Studies building. We've got researchers in all these different groups and areas down at the bottom, and they do phenomenal work. They're world-renowned for their research, okay? They do everything from whale satellite tagging to using drones to collect whale snot and whale poop for eDNA samples, to looking at using drones to measure how fit these marine mammals are, using photogrammetry, which is this using of images to determine, using an algorithm, determining how well they're, how full, plump they are, or how thin they are based on the season. So a lot of different areas. Marine fisheries genetics, lots of stuff with rockfish, salmonids, and oysters, and we partner with the Oregon Hatchery Research Center on Highway 34 between Waldport and Corvallis. Check that out. Ship operations. We have two vessels, actually three vessels based here at Hatfield. The Oceanus, which is that big, large vessel on the bottom, and the Ilaka, which is in the top right, largest aluminum boat we have. Ilaka is Chinook, which is a Siletz tribal language for sea otter. In the bottom right, you have a CTD, which is a standard ruler for oceanographic work. Drop that over to the side, and it measures temperature, salinity, and depth. And those rosette of bottles collect seawater samples at multiple depths triggered by push of a button up at the top of the surface. We also have the experiment station. So we're a land grant institution, and as a land grant institution, we provide new science and new information to our citizens. And one of our experiment stations, and we have one in every county in the state. This particular one, the Coastal Oregon Marine Experiment Station, is the only one focused on marine resources. And they do everything from how it's harvested to how it's marketed, and how you determine value marketing and sustainable fishery and safety procedures. So we have basically a big acronym soup here at Hatfield, from NOAA, the Northwest Fisheries Science Center, the Alaska Fisheries Science Center, the Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory, which does seismic activity, measures seismic activity underwater, like underwater volcanoes, to the Marine Operations Center for the Pacific. We have EPA, US Fish and Wildlife, US Department of Agriculture, and the Agricultural Research Service, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, US Geological Service, and US Coast Guard. So NOAA, a lot of fisheries work, more fisheries work. We have the Alaska Fisheries Science Center that does fish behavior stuff here. We have, again, seismic activity monitored by the Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory Events Program. And then we have formal partnerships between OSU and NOAA that supports graduate students to do research. EPA does a lot of stuff in the estuaries. In fact, they're looking at nutrient changes and eelgrass beds, which are very valuable as nursery habitats for our animals. So anyone who loves Dungeness crab, the little babies in the springtime end up using this habitat as vital places to hide and grow. Okay, getting there. US Fish and Wildlife, again, more survey work around our Oregon islands. And then USDA, the agricultural genetics work. So ODF&W, and I'm looking at the time, I'll run over to this. We also focused on Pacific Marine Environmental Energy, looking at basically wiring the bottom of the ocean with instruments that give us real-time data of what's going on underwater, incorporating gliders with that. And then of course our Marine Studies building. So this Marine Studies building is the first building on the West Coast that will be a vertical evacuation route in the event of a tsunami and is able to withstand a giant earthquake. So this is a huge endeavor, just open. It's not open to the public, but once it does, it'll be amazing for everyone to be able to utilize. This is kind of the format and what it looks like. And we can do a separate talk about Marine Studies building itself. And then, so academic programs, what we have here, we have students who are studying all these different fields and more. We want students to really get the Oregon coast experience while they're out here, from everything from going out to the habitats to working in our visitor center to working in our labs. And here's some glimpses of the area around campus here, estuary and mudflats. A dynamic revetment, the bridge. And then fall, we typically have a series of fish and wildlife courses around coastal ecology and resource management. We have these weekend courses, which are now changed to being remote. BI 111, 113. These are for first and second year students to get a sense of what it's like to be at Hatfield in a normal world. Students would spend the weekend living at Hatfield in our dormitories, and we would go to different habitats and then bring, in my course, we bring animals back into the lab and look at them in the lab. Spring term, we have a marine biology and ecology course, 15 credits. It's going to be remote, unfortunately, this spring, but students typically go out and do their own projects and basically eat, live, and breathe marine biology while they're out here. And then we have a string of summer courses. And if you check our website, we'll have all of our summer courses are up there as well. And then I want to get to this final one, which is internships. As students, you are probably interested in getting engaged as an intern, whether it's a paid internship or a volunteer internship. There's a lot of different opportunities. At the moment right now, our campus is very restricted. Tom, who was one of our MSI interns this past summer, can vouch that it was really challenging to be able to conduct research, but we have remote virtual opportunities at the moment. I think probably after this summer with the vaccine, we'll start seeing a reintroduction of the opening of some of these government labs that are on site, some of our research labs, our visitor center, the aquarium next door, and those all provide opportunities. You can be a docent and a volunteer with our visitor center and the aquarium. A lot of volunteers that go through our visitor center end up spinning off to doing other things. It's they work as a docent up front and then end up getting involved in a project. We have one intern who's reconstructing because he's got art experience around how should I say, sculpture, human sculpture, and he's helping us articulate a elephant seal skeleton because of his knowledge and background in molding with art and reconstructing the skeleton. We've got students who've gone here and spun off and done some incredible art stuff. David Ben, who's one of our former interns, now does marine art using a tablet. And he even, so check out David Ben, he's based in Portland. These are a number of different internships that are available on our website. Click on those and find out more information about them. And finally, we have a student organization here at Hatfield, not the most original, Hatfield Student Organization, mostly made up of grad students, mostly made up of students that are in residence here at Hatfield. And so they run a number of things, professional development opportunities, as well as just social activities. And then of course our K-12 program out through the Visitor Center and the Oregon Coast STEM Hub. Our public education, so Shop at the Dock, that's a program that I don't think is running at the moment, but maybe this summer it may start up with the leniency of the pandemic. And then finally our outreach through our Visitor Center. One last thing I would like to plug, if anyone is interested, we have a very unique program at the community college that we partner with here at Oregon Coast Community College. That's the Aquarium Science Program. It is a 2-year AA degree or a 1-year certificate if you already have a 4-year life sciences degree. And the students learn 3 things: building life support systems, building exhibits or designing exhibits, and basic animal handling skills around aquatic animals in tanks, okay? Very unique program. There's only 2 in the country. The other one's in Florida. This one was the first one. And students get hired to work at the aquarium, at zoos, at SeaWorld. We lost one intern that was supposed to work with us, but he got a better internship working on the Prince of Saudi Arabia's marine biology tank boat that floats around the Mediterranean as an education program. So, you know, some really incredible worldwide opportunities for a lot of these students. Okay, so any questions? Kind of ran through that. I know we're 5 minutes over, are we? Sorry about that.
No worries. That was awesome. It's easy to forget how much stuff is going on just right there.